this is what happens an hour later. She just belts it out. Thank you, Alicia, and thank you, all of you. Wow. Whew. I don't know if I need to talk, really. I mean, isn't the... So if I could have my first slide, please. So I was thinking about the talks that I've done, and all of us who give you talks, and I was thinking, we really haven't talked about faith. And I thought, well, really, should we, or we shouldn't, or because faith has a lot of baggage around it, right? A lot of people think faith and they associate it with being religious. And so sometimes we, up here, we like to be really sensitive to the baggage that's out there. But I think it's impossible because we all got it, right? And I can't identify everybody, so we just have to trust that what needs to be said needs to be said. And over my lifetime, I've had a very interesting and complicated relationship with faith. Because faith to me when I was younger was all about what I was seeing in this outside world, what was happening to family and friends, world events. That's how I gauged my faith. And my faith really, really took a number of hits when my grandma passed away, because she was a woman who was filled with faith. She was a devout Jew and practiced all of the rules, did everything right. And she got really, really sick when she was in her early 80s. And when I saw that, my faith took a dump. And I said, in my mind, there can be no God if this happened to this woman. And so as I went about my life and lost my faith, there was something inside of me that just wouldn't let go of me. It wanted me to believe in something, but I couldn't, because in my mind, I thought, I can't have faith because of that. But that restlessness of my spirit just kept knocking on the door and said, you've got to believe in something. And so I've talked about how I've searched high and low, and coming to this center really allowed me to find that faith, but it was in such an unbelievably unusual way. And my next slide is actually my talk title, which is Prove It. Because when I came into this center, I wanted Dr. Tom and Reverend Joe to prove it to me, that this philosophy works. And it did. When I came into Science of Mind, I had my doubts and concerns. I questioned. And then I thought, you know what? Why not do this experiment? Let's play with these principles. Let's do prayer. Let's go to services. Let's just try it out. And then I saw my life start to change. I started getting the parking spaces, as we say. Level one parking spaces. Level 2, my financial prosperity started opening up. And level 3, my relationships started to heal. And level 4 is I was feeling good most of the time. And what I learned about Science of Mind and proving it to me as I evolved, I realized the proving wasn't about this physical reality and things needing to be in my life or needing to be a certain way. The proving it had to do with me and my spirituality. It meant proving to myself that I am this spiritual energy, that I'm vibrant, alive, and anything is possible. And if I use the power of my mind constructively, I can have anything at all. And so I did prove it to myself. My next slide is this. Ernest Holmes. By the way, I just want to tell you this. Ernest Holmes is who we study here, for those of you that are new or haven't been real familiar with what we do. Ernest Holmes is the founder of Science of Mind, or religious science, and we use his book and his teaching here, although we are open at the top and we welcome new philosophies and new ideas that take us to another level. And so today, I'm using all of the quotes from his chapter in the Science of Mind called Faith, because his attitude and his treatment towards faith is so inspiring and transformative. And so everything that you see today, except for one quote, which is mine, every quote is Ernest. And so I want to start out with this. He says, the idea that faith has only to do with our religious experiences is a mistake. And for me, I love this quote because it cracks me open, because this is what I used to believe. I used to believe that faith was all about religion. But he's telling us, no, it is not about religion. It's about something bigger than that. When I was in my spiritual seeking stage, I used to have a lot of friends that were really devout Christians. And I was so jealous of them because they believed so strongly in their faith. And I used to say, God, I want to believe in something like they do, because there was no doubt. They believed in what they believed. And I thought, how can somebody believe in something so strongly that no doubt can enter into there? And so that, to me, was what my goal was in life, to believe in something so strongly there was no doubt. Because I thought maybe it was about believing in a certain deity or in a certain religious figure. And then Science of Mind told me it is not about that. Yet, I would be able to find that belief that's so strong and so unquestionable for me that I could have that faith that I saw in others. My next slide is this from Ernest. Oh, no, this is from me. I say you don't have to believe in a supreme being or a greater entity. You just need to believe that things can change and something better is possible. Because I know a lot of people in this room really don't resonate with the word God, and I understand that. Or you don't resonate that there's some greater intelligence that moves the planets and that is in all life. So I say to you, you don't have to believe in that to have faith. You just need to believe that things can change, that you're not stuck in a circumstance forever, that things do change. And if you believe that something better is possible, then your faith can expand for you. And my next slide is definitely Ernest Holmes. He says this: pure faith is a spiritual conviction. It is the acquiescence of the mind, the embodiment of an idea, the acceptance of a concept. If we believe that the Spirit incarnated in us can demonstrate, shall we be disturbed at what appears to contradict this? And there's a lot in our world contradicting this idea right now, a lot. And I was really distracted this week by, I will just say this, I'm not in any kind of political stance, I'm not going to preach, but there were a lot of weird shootings this week. And I was moved by that, as I'm sure many of you were, right? And my mind wants to start to say, why is this happening? And maybe some of you said, how can we have faith when this is what happens here on this plane of existence? I will tell you that I am in a place in my spiritual evolution where I don't question my faith anymore, because what I know is that we are all spiritual beings. And the reason why people do things that hurt other people is because they're wounded on the inside. It doesn't mean that I'm not moved to take action in some way in my life, to vote a certain way, to get involved in a certain way. That is not something I shy away from at all, because I think we can do both things. I think we can understand the higher level of understanding that some people have just had terrible life experiences, have not learned how to make better decisions, and they do things irrationally, and unfortunately, there's damage, and there's pain and sorrow, and there's loss of life. But I know in my heart that this inspires others to do what we can to make this world a better place, and to be able to work with people in such a way where we can teach them about love, because that's the way I take action. I teach people about awareness. I teach people how to heal their wounds. That's how I approach the things in life that are disturbing. And so this is what Ernest is really talking about here, is dropping into that spiritual understanding of who we all are. Because when we get that, doesn't mean that we're not disturbed by what's going on in the world, but we don't lose faith. We don't need to lose our faith, because our faith is based on something bigger than the circumstances of the world. It's based on who you are, who I am, who we all are, who our brothers and sisters are, who everybody in this world is. Understanding that underneath all this human stuff is a sweet, whole being of spiritual energy, which we all are. And when we can start to live in that place of understanding, we're able to live much more peacefully and do what is ours to do in this world. My next slide is this. In order to have faith, we must have a conviction that all is well. I know sometimes that lands weird, right? How can we say all is well when we see what we're seeing in the world? But again, elevating the vision, elevating your consciousness to a place of seeing in some reality all is well. Maybe not here in how we're interacting with each other, but above it all and within it all is a wellness, is a wholeness. It is there. That's faith. to remember that right where you are, God is, or spirit is, or possibility is. Whatever word works for you, use that. But to know that is a place of faith. He also says, in order to keep faith, we must allow nothing to enter our thought which will weaken this conviction. And I want to just make this a little more real for us, because I don't have the expectation for myself or anybody that you're just supposed to be numb to the whole world and not be affected by anything. No, we do. We have a reaction when we hear things that are happening in the world or in our own lives or the lives of our loved ones. We have a reaction. The key is, how are you responding to that reaction? Are you allowing that reaction to take you to a place of anger and resentment? Or are you allowing that reaction to be something that you look at, that you take a step back, become the observer, and self-reflect? Why am I having this reaction? What can I do with this reaction that will channel my energy in a positive, life-affirming way? Because it's when we make the decision to do the opposite that we get in trouble, not only with ourselves, but everybody. When we can choose from a higher place, when we're seeing the world around us do what it does, choose from a place of love and understanding, we're doing something that's impacting our whole world because we are all interconnected. And my next slide is more from Ernest. Faith is built up from belief, acceptance, and trust. I want to emphasize this. Belief, acceptance, and trust. These are three big words, very powerful words. And they're really important for us to get to know, to reflect upon inside of ourselves. So belief, what do you believe? Do you believe all is well? Do you believe that there's some other higher order of unfolding activity that is divinely guided? Do you believe that? Do you believe that there's a part of you, a big part of you, because it's who you are, a part of you that is impenetrable, that is eternal, that is spirit? Do you believe that? Can you accept the world on its terms, on what it's doing? Are you fighting against what's going on? Or can you accept it is what it is? I cannot change the world, but I can change my reaction to it. I can change my perception of it. I can raise my vision to a higher place of seeing all of this different activity and bring love in. It's time for us to stop making the world change for our own desires and comfort, because it's not going to. There's always something going on in the world. It's time for us to just accept it and become at peace with it, and to see what we can do to participate in a way where we feel we are contributing, and be good with it. Just be good with it. So trust is so huge. And this is where I got into trouble when I lost my faith with my grandma. I just trusted that God was going to take good care of her, and that she was going to have a life where she just passed away peacefully, no suffering. And I lost my trust because I thought I had an agreement with God that that wasn't going to happen. And that was just me where I was at that time in my life. And this philosophy has evolved my understanding of faith and life to such a degree where I don't blame God anymore for anything, because I know that we all have free will. I know that we are all divine beings here doing our thing. And so whatever's happening is happening. It's nobody's fault. We're at choice, and we're just doing what we're doing. Because I have the faith and the trust that there is a divine principle that is unfolding always. And I trust and know that that thing works perfectly, and that we're all working with it and doing what we are with that principle in a way that we know how to use it. But I trust so deeply in that power of spirit that we all are. I see it in all of you. I trust it in me. And I also trust myself to use it rightly now. And I trust that you know how to do that too, in whatever way works for you in your life. And so Ernest says, whenever anything enters our thoughts which destroys in any degree one of these attitudes, belief, acceptance, and trust, to that extent our faith is weakened. So I want to give you a homework assignment this week. I want you to think about belief, acceptance, and trust. See where you're at with those three qualities. Where are you with it? And see where you are and how you can make changes to expand and deepen your faith. Because I agree with Ernest, those three qualities have a lot to do with our faith and how we deal with our world. And if you, let me just take a poll here. How many people would like deeper faith, stronger faith? Raise your hand. I'm not going to shame you or anything. See, there's a lot of us, right? And I so get that. Because when we're externally oriented and identifying this world and allowing our faith to be determined by this outer world, it gets shaken a lot every day. But if we learn how to see our beliefs, how we're accepting this world and trusting what's unfolding, if we can get there, more hands are going to come down. So play with that this week, if you will. And my next slide is this. It is only when we let go of all human will and recognize the pure essence of the spiritual principle incarnated in us that thought rises above a belief in duality. And I want to talk about this thing called duality because it's a big deal in our teaching, duality. And duality is just separation, us and them, this country and that country, two things, not one. And what we teach here is there is only one, and we are that one. But in this human experience, we've done a lot to put people in boxes, to say, you're you and I'm me, and we're separated. The truth is, we are all inside of each other. I know that's a wild term, but we are all inside of each other. We're all a part of each other. There is no such thing as duality at a higher level. In this realm, sure, there's duality, right? We experience it every day. Light, dark, man, woman, dog, cat. Always have to put that in there. But we experience it. And I want to just reiterate, I'm not here to say you have to believe this every second of every day. This is just an awareness to have inside of you. That when you're in your world and you're feeling, you're getting mad at somebody because they're doing something that you don't like, or whether you see something on the news that bothers you and you start saying, those people, or that political group, whenever you start saying those things, you're in duality, and you're saying, I'm not who they are because they have all these negative qualities. Oh no. If you're saying that, you got those qualities inside of you. I'm sorry. I had to say that to myself this morning. I was starting to get in a thing, and I thought, Miss Olansky, you've got that inside of you, and you need to stop throwing it out there. Look within. And this is our big spiritual work to do. It really is. It is not easy. I'm not going to say, you can just snap your fingers and you're out of duality and it's love, love everywhere. I get it. It takes time. Duality, we live in it. We're immersed in it. We are bombarded with ideas of duality and vision and pictures and images. This realm that we're in at this time, I'm going to just say it, gets off on duality. It's just a part of what we're in right now. But for us who are yearning for a greater spiritual experience in this lifetime, duality is something to really look at. And as Ernest says, we should constantly vitalize our faith by the knowledge that the eternal is incarnated in us. That it isn't about duality. When we can rise above what this collective consciousness has created to this time and go to a higher consciousness of seeing oneness, of seeing love, of seeing compassion and understanding, of seeing what's nestled within each being, even though they may not be showing up in a way that is preferable to you. If we can look beyond that and say, wow, if that person is showing up like that, there must be something going on inside of themselves. And I think this is really where our work is. It's where my work is right now. I just find that when I start to get triggered, I have to stop blaming the person, and I look inside of myself, and I say, where is love not being happening in my heart right now? Where does the love need to come up? Because if I'm separating people inside of me from myself in what they are doing or how they appear in this world, then there's something out of whack inside of me. I'm not seeing wholeness and I'm not seeing oneness. And so Ernest is telling us that this thing called faith, as he said, it's not about religion, it's not about dogma, it's not about a deity, it's not about worshiping something, it's about really seeing who we are. It's about really understanding that we live in a spiritual universe that is governed by the law of cause and effect, and our reality is the way that we use that law. But that law is always going. That law is always going. And what's really cool is that when we come at that law and we use it from a place of love and joy and knowing that there is nothing that holds us back from living a great, healthy, happy, joyful life. The only thing that holds us back is our minds, is our own thoughts, our own beliefs. That's what holds us back. So if we see that faith is all about knowing what's possible for us, what we can do, right? That's faith. Faith in you. Faith in what's possible for you. And just understanding, if you can get up a little higher and just see that there is energy that is everywhere. Right now, the cutting edge of it is quantum physics, because it is showing us that there is energy that is formless, that is alive, that is intelligent, and it reacts to our thinking, to our beliefs. That's what the latest and greatest is. There's no even God in that mix. It's all about science saying, look, people, religion and science are coming together because what they've been saying about spirit and its power in our lives is showing up in quantum physics as this energy that is everywhere, that through us comes into form. So all you need to do is have faith in that there's energy that through our consciousness comes into form. I'm sure if you look back at your life, you'll see how that has shown up in your life, right? I'll bet you can. I'll bet you can. You can see that I was in such a state, let's go positive here. I was in such a state of knowing something good was going to happen. I was going to meet my soulmate. I was going to get that good job. I was going to find the place I wanted to move to, and it happened, right? That's where the faith is. Through your consciousness, you made it happen. That's where to hook in your faith and just watch it grow and expand. And my last quote is this. Such a faith does not spring fully orbed into being, but grows by knowledge and experience. No matter what the outside appearance, we must cling steadfastly to the knowledge that God is good and God is all, underneath, above, and round about. And I love to teach people to be in a state where they're just allowing the process. They're allowing the time that it takes to deepen faith. Because it isn't overnight. It doesn't happen just like that. It happens as Ernest says it happens. It happens by knowledge and experience. It happens by paying attention to what you're thinking, to the seeds you're planting in your life, and watching them grow. That's how faith grows and expands. By being present, by being connected, by being loving and kind to yourself, and really just making a great experiment out of this life by keeping your consciousness in such a clarity, such a place where you can really clean up the old wounds and come to a place of wholeness and wellness and joy and knowing who you are and seeing what's possible. Coming to that through your knowing, through your studying, through your prayers, through your coming here, and your life experiences. And that is what's going to prove itself in your life, because to me, that's what faith is all about. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.